Okay, boom, it's Hot Mic. We got a very special edition of the podcast. A fan favorite for all you past, present, and future festival gypsies. We're doing festival rap notes today. So welcome back to the podcast. We are all decked out in our neon right before we hit the gym, having a cold brew, and talking about fest life.
Best life, best life.
Yeah. Hashtag it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just spent some time in L.A., specifically Hollywood and Highlands. What do you think, cutes or brutes?
Oh, it's pretty brutes right now.
Yeah. When we worked there, it was already getting a little sketch, but seeing these little homeless communities that are popping up in tent cities that are kind of taking over these side streets. I know it's happening everywhere in LA, but I was surprised. I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was, I guess, in Hollywood. But man, the glamour has really left that place.
I have such nostalgia for it, and that's why I wanted to go back to do a couple of things, say hi to at least one person, the best person.
Shout out to Anastasia
Foss.
That was awesome to see her and reconnect.
Yes.
Yeah, not great to reconnect with Hollywood. That was a little tough. Seeing the Cinerama Dome all boarded up broke my heart a little bit.
That was hard.
Yeah.
And the fella I was talking to where I was getting my hair done, first time I've had my hair highlighted and cut by a straight male.
Wow.
Hetero male. He did a great job. Jeremiah, shout out. And he was telling me, we were talking about the homelessness on the streets, and he's like, you just wake up one day and it's been coming on so gradually, and then all of a sudden it's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It does seem like this was a slow burn that kind of got away from everybody. And it's been a problem for a long time, but yeah, I don't know. I just was very unpleasantly surprised.
I just hope any of our friends working the AFI festival a couple weekends ago had a safe and happy festival.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the marketing team, put the caps lock on when you're writing AFI. Why are we going lowercase?
I didn't know it had become a children's festival. That was new.
On that step and repeat banner, it looks like AFI is drawn in crayon, and you're fisting the crayon and drawing it like this.
When you've done festivals year after year and you've committed to this, we've got to have a different logo for every year. Keep it fresh, keep it different. It's inevitable that you're going to have a few duds. And
Sure.
I'm thinking of a couple Sundance posters. And I'm thinking of a Telluride poster or two where it's just like, I think we tried to do something a little too different on this one. Or, you know, it just didn't land well with me.
Was it you? Did you tell me the story about your first year at Sundance and volunteering at Sundance and loving the marketing and all the graphics that they had put together? And then you came back the next year and it was completely different. And you were like, wait, you guys changed your branding completely every single year?
Yeah, it was surprising.
Well, and I think if I remember correctly, the first year was 2011, right? Was that your first year?
2012.
2012, okay.
So it was the Look Again, which I know not everyone's a huge fan of.
Yeah, that one's garbage. If I remember it correctly.
But it had mountains, and I liked it. I
Yeah.
didn't know any better. I didn't know anything else.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. And then what would have been 2013? What followed that?
2013 was the year of the arrows. It was
that
which
was
way.
bad too. Yeah.
So
Direction. It was all about.
Yeah, it was like all the different arrows.
Yeah.
Arrows.
2011 is really honored in the Hot Mic podcast studio because that is the snowflake.
That's right.
Yeah.
I miss our snowflake.
I do too.
We'll be back
I
with it
miss
soon.
the studio. We are still here in lovely California.
Crashing Logan Paul's house. Thanks.
It was so nice of
shout
him
out.
to let us stay here.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of influencers here. It's hard to keep things quiet enough to record, but we're making it work.
Yeah. Yeah, Logan's not here right now. I don't know, he's at Selena Gomez's, I don't know. She's getting her wisdom teeth out or something. He's helping. No, we have this lovely house, this lovely pool behind us, but we still miss the studio.
Yep.
Something special about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been weird to be back in our old stomping grounds and walking around places like the H&H. And a lot has changed, but I went as I did kind of a walking tour of all these places that had vivid memory tied to the space, where it's like, oh man, I remember this staircase because we had some impromptu production meeting about loadout and somebody flew off the handle, and it's like, wow, this all took place right here. It's been weird to be back.
Yep, those dramatic moments that very much tied to a physical space.
Yeah.
I remember getting very familiar with the H&H because you had to know how to just find a little nook, a little cranny to get away from the people for a second.
Uh-huh.
As a theater manager or really any festival worker, you get completely overwhelmed with people minute by minute. And so if you could take 5 minutes and find an empty staircase or a dead end to I see it as the labyrinth of malls. And I think of it as the labyrinth in the David Bowie movie because it's constantly changing.
Yeah. It
It
is like an Escher painting.
within the few years that we worked in that venue. It sounds like when you did a walk by, it had changed a lot more. It's in the process of metamorphosizing into something either more or less complicated.
Yeah, unclear at this time, but it was under heavy construction when I was there. And
I love it.
there was one point, it was early in the morning that I was there, so the traffic that was moving through there were mostly like construction and security. But there was one point where I completely just walked in a circle. Like I ended up right back in the same place, and I was like, you have forgotten how to navigate this building, clearly. I will say that being back in Hollywood and being around the tourism and not interacting with, really avoiding the tourism, I was like, it was a very important reminder that I was like, you have to pay me to be here.
Yes.
Like,
yes, we were getting paid to be there.
Yes.
This is one of the only times I wasn't paid to be there.
I had a good time to take a little stroll down memory lane, but I also was not having a good time just being in Hollywood with no purpose. It doesn't feel right.
No. Now you gotta have a good reason to be there.
Yeah.
And we did have several.
Mm-hmm.
It was always around the time of Thanksgiving that AFI would crop up, and either we'd be headed to Sundance or taking a break from Sundance if you're lucky. And then we did have a Thanksgiving tradition at Sundance. And I know you've got some qualms about it.
The community meal.
Yes.
Okay, so each department... How was it decided? Did each department bring the same thing? Okay, so here's the thing. The week prior to Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving break. No, not even the week prior. The week of.
Yes.
So Thanksgiving's at the end of that week on a Thursday. Like Tuesday, everybody has this big community meal. And they bring in potatoes and Brussels sprouts and asparagus and there's 3 different kinds of turkeys, and it's the full meal with the whole staff. And then you go home and you have that same meal again later that week. Yeah, I got problems with that.
What's wrong? Is that not your favorite meal?
It ruins the family meal.
It's like, I just had this meal.
I just had this.
Do I have to eat this again this week?
That always bothered me.
And then there was the added element. So if you had a family thing, you were also doing the official office Thanksgiving thing. And then there was often a Friendsgiving with coworkers. So you could potentially end up with 3 Thanksgiving meals within a week.
That's too many.
That's too many. I agree.
And it's an important week. Like, not for everybody, but if you're a department that's there in November, these are crucial times, and you're about to go on break, and you're not going to see each other for a long weekend. And one of your last days in the office, you eat this meal and then go back to work. And people were drinking at it. Like, there would be beers and stuff. It was just like, oh, this is a throwaway day. Like, maybe we'll get some stuff done in the morning. And then we're all going to come together and eat Thanksgiving for lunch, a meal that we will repeat with our loved ones in less than 48 hours.
Yes, and then there was, while you were there was the added element of we didn't have space to eat this whole meal together, so we'd set all the crock pots up in the conference room, and departments would just take turns going around that conference table, filling their plates, and essentially going back to their desks, or kind of rotating through the eating space that could fit maybe 12 people at a time.
True.
And we had, at least 60 staff members by then, more like 75 or...
None of it made sense. Yeah. There were plenty of people who went back to their desk and begrudgingly ate their food while they're trying to do their work that is like, we got deadlines coming up. And they're like, I don't have time for this.
This gravy's making me tired. But what I'm excited to tell you about is the year I stayed 1 year longer than you did at Sundance, and that year I got to be the manager at the Filmmaker Lodge, which is the Elks Lodge of Park City. And we did an ask that year to the venue, a manager who's there year round, and he allowed us
Dusty?
to. Yeah, Dusty.
Shout out Dusty. Dustbuster. I never called him that.
Great guy, really great guy. And he took pity on us and let us use the Elks Lodge for our Thanksgiving meal for the office. And the hilarious limitation on this very generous venue donation was that we were not allowed to use the stove in the kitchen at the Elks Lodge.
Why not?
It was a liability thing, I think, because it wasn't officially a part of our contract or what. We never used the kitchen, like the actual appliances during the festival anyway. Like that was never. Maybe there was something wrong with it, but I do think it was a liability thing. And, and it was the one ask. He was like, just don't use the ovens. We're like, sure. Mm-hmm. So then it fell to production to coordinate everyone. So everyone would come into the office at Silver Star with their crock pots, and then production was in charge of shuttling them over to the Elks Lodge, and there were PAs running the crock pots up the fire staircase on the back, and trying to find outlets to plug them all in and keep them warm. And I mean, that meal is just, it wasn't a hot meal. But
oh my God.
we did actually have space for everyone, and that was cool.
I'm so grateful that I was not a part of that.
And I'm unclear if this continued. Anyone wants to add that in the comments, I'd love to know. But I do think it kept going at least another year.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Who knows after the pandemic?
Like, we're less than 2 months away from a giant festival where we're going to have more than 60,000 people in attendance, and this would be the logistics that production is working on. Oh, that would drive me nuts. So this is perfect. I'm so glad you brought it up, because this is basically going to be our Thanksgiving episode. This will come out a day after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hope it was wonderful. Hope I'm not showing too much leg. They're so white. They're like the color of, I don't know, a Tylenol pill. So this is a perfect Thanksgiving episode, and I want to share an embarrassing memory of Thanksgiving that goes way back at Sundance. Mm-hmm. And it totally ties into what you're talking about, if there's a lack of space to actually eat this meal and to gather. When I was a lowly but blissful PA, greatest job in the world. I really did like it. I really did. I was a great PA.
PA Nation.
Well, partly because of how much I liked it. But what I suggested was to a small group, kind of a small group of VIPs, not just production, but it was outside of production, small group of friends, got an invitation to have Thanksgiving in the cargo van. So the cargo van was covered, the whole floor was covered with moving pads. So it was real soft and comfy-wumpy, and you could come in there with your plate of food, and we'd put on some good tunes and hang out and eat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I get my plate of food. The plan has been set. Like, the people have been invited. Get your food, meet at the cargo van. I'm the first one at the cargo van, and the last one, but I don't know that yet. I start eating my food because I'm like, it's freezing out here. The snow is falling. My plate of food is getting very cold. I got to start eating. I eat. I'm like, I'm eating slowly, waiting for people to show up. Oh, they'll be here any minute. I eat my entire plate, and I'm like, son of a bitch. And I go back in, and I find all the people all huddled up in, like, venues, hanging out. And I was like, the cargo van. What happened? And they were like, we thought you were joking. So embarrassing.
Oh, yeah. That's, you ate alone that day.
I sure did. Oh, I was so mad.
In the snow.
Yeah.
Like a Viking.
Oh, I was really embarrassed. Yeah, that was one of my least cool moments at Sundance. Probably not the least, but it's close.
Can you name any names who are supposed to be in that van? I know we don't usually name names.
We don't usually. Zach Sadoff, he definitely, his ass should have been there. He was my partner in crime. He's probably the one who told everyone, like, it's just a joke. He's totally, because he's a ham.
Yeah.
Zach, I love you, buddy, and you are a funny SOB, and you would have totally done that. Just like, oh, he was joking. Well, where is he? I don't know. He's in the bathroom. I'm trying to place the year. Like, I'm trying to see all the faces. But I just can't.
That's okay.
I'm
you
not
got
sure.
one. That's good.
Yeah.
It does all run together. You know, we had a lot of turnover from year to year, but there's enough consistency with certain people that certain memories can run together, and it's easy to forget who exactly was there that specific year.
Because I have the period of time where I was a production assistant, and I did that for a long time. And honestly, I loved so much that my office was a cargo van, and we're always on the move, and every day looks different. That was like a perfect job for me in my 20s. It just never got boring. And then there's an era where I'm the boss and I'm a production manager. And I mean, I was right in that, like, I didn't take promotions that were being offered where it's like, hey, you want to come back as a coordinator next year? I turned those opportunities down for like a couple of years because I was like, don't take me off the truck. Please don't take me off the truck. Like, this is where I'm most valuable to you, is boots on the ground. This is what I belong. This is where I belong, and this is what I should be doing.
That's why you're my king PA.
I'm a king PA. Yes. I challenge any PA to out PA me.
Let's have a standoff.
Yeah, you want to stand off? Perfect. For those not in the know, that is a production assistant request form. A formality that drove me nuts as a production manager. But anyways, and then once I was always just like, I don't want to, you put me at a desk, you're going to kill my soul. And I'm not going to be able to be the vibrant, joyful
golden retriever
of a production assistant that I am now. And I wasn't wrong. It really, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was a bit soul-crushing that suddenly my talents, my physicality in the job, which my background is as a furniture mover. That's how I got connected to film festivals, was not through film school, which I was in at the time. I was putting myself through film school by moving furniture. And that's, in many ways, that is what production was like, you need to be a relocation specialist. And that's exactly what I was. And now suddenly I'm a coordinator, or I'm a manager, and I am dispatch. I am looking at the big picture, which really I was very good at, but it took something away from it.
There's a certain amount of freedom with not having a desk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a nice feeling until it's not.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. And the change happened when it should, and I definitely I never thought I was going to be the production services manager at Sundance. That was Jesse Schaefer's role. He killed it. He crushed it. He was a mentor to me. Absolutely loved working under that guy. It was a true privilege. And never thought that I would pick it up where he left off.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And you did such a great job with that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then it was crystal clear the last year I did it. Like, the whole time I was doing it, it was like, I need to move on. Because I'd done it for almost a decade.
Absolutely. And people have different staminas for this kind of work. Some people are still doing it that we knew. Some
God
people,
bless them.
They're doing the Lord's work.
They're doing, yeah. Sisyphus, bless them. Just push that boulder up the hill.
Just get those butts in the seats and get them back out.
We always joke that Sisyphus was the patron saint of production.
Oh, I love that.
Every day we push that boulder up. Every
Yes.
night it rolls back down the hill.
And then we had friends who did 1 or 2 festivals, and they were like, oh my God, check, I'm moving on, you know? And I didn't understand that bucket so much because for me, I saw it as like, you got to catch them all. Like, I wanted to do every festival. It was heartbreaking when you get into it and you realize, oh my gosh, they're overlapping all the time. I can't do this festival, I'm doing that festival, and it becomes a real logistical challenge if you're getting a lot of gigs, which if you're doing it right, you might have that problem.
What were all the gigs that you worked in California specifically?
Oh, not a ton, but I did TCM and AFI multiple times, and then Mill Valley Film Festival
You
a couple
did Mill
years.
Valley. Nice.
Did I just do that 1 year? I might have only done it 1 year. Yeah. Yep. Mill Valley was super fun. That was the only way I got north. I wasn't able to do San Francisco International because it was too close to TCM, and TCM stole my heart and it had me from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this the other day, but it was like I got a very unique opportunity to do TCM and San Francisco International in the same year. And for those in the know, and I'm not sure if this still falls in the same line on the calendar, well, TCM's not a thing anymore, is it? Are they still doing that fest?
Well, they did it virtually this year, and
doesn't count.
Oh, ouch. I actually don't know if they're going to be back in person next year. I hope so.
Yeah.
They could come back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This was very rare and unique, and I'd be fascinated to know if anyone else had this rare opportunity to work both in the same year. So for those who don't know, TCM, it ends 2 days into San Francisco International. So they absolutely overlap their programming days.
Mm-hmm.
So it is unheard of for you to be booked for both gigs because you have zero prep time for San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And they're legit. They run the show really well. Like, I'm very impressed with their whole, I guess, program structure.
Mm-hmm.
It's all produced out of the San Francisco Film Society. That's where the main offices are in the Presidio, and anyways, they wouldn't hire you on to come on board last minute. It was only through my connections, my friends who are also working, that they just reached out to me halfway through TCM and said, we had somebody drop off of our roster. We really need somebody to come in and fill in for production. And because the other guy is pocket-sized.
Well, they must have known your reputation
Yeah.
and really trusted you
Mm-hmm.
and been a little desperate.
Do you think there's anyone who's done both in 1 year?
I do.
Do you know somebody?
I do, yeah.
Who?
R.C. Cola.
She did both.
Rachel Engel. Yep, she did both. Cola.
Shout out to Cola.
Did it both in the same year at least once.
Wow.
But they, she's a well-trusted theater manager, and
How did she do that? With was it just that there weren't screenings in that specific theater in San Francisco?
I don't know. Maybe it was something that they had a theater manager who could only be there for the first couple days, and she came in as the replacement.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Interesting.
But if we're counting music festivals, I also did Outside Lands.
Oh, where does that take place?
That is in Golden Gate Park.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's right.
That was the second time I underdressed for a California festival. First time was AFI, and I didn't realize how cold it was going to be at night when the sun goes down. And then Outside Lands was in August.
Yeah.
Summertime, just didn't know how cold it gets in San Francisco in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
I mean, the coldest winter that Mark Twain ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
Damn right.
Damn right.
Is that a good place to end it?
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay. This has been Rap Notes on Hot Mic, and we're out.
That's a wrap.